Hi, everybody. Mitch Tambem here. Thanks for joining me today. This is the security news update. In the security and privacy alerts section, um, sort of mind-boggling, but researchers decided that they would go off and do a very simple security test. They would look for publicly visible .env environment variables, environment files, public-facing websites. They found 58,000 of them. Those 58,000 contained a million secrets. But this is kind of, this is script kiddie stuff. This is not anything that requires any skill, any significant skill. So you imagine if they tried a little harder, how many secrets they could find. So it's really useful to go off and make sure that you've got things secured appropriately. In the reference department, FedRAMP, which is the Federal Risk Management Protocol, the feds are trying to simplify that, with DoD and the rest of the federal government really starting to require FedRAMP in order for vendors to participate, to play in the game of their cloud service providers. This is an important thing. Now, we will see what they really do. Their objective is, for this year, is two priorities. One is to identify challenges and propose solutions around the barrier to entry, especially for small businesses, and then to consider how they can expedite the certification process. So if they pull that off, that would be really great. In the important issues and patches department, millions of IoT devices, Internet of Things devices, are at risk due to a buggy cellular modem that they have inside them. Now, these devices probably will never be secure. Whether the vendor who sold you whatever it is you bought that has a cellular modem in it is even worried about it, even cares, whether they will release a patch, whether you'll install that patch, likelihood is that these devices will never be patched. And the bad guys know that, and they're looking at it, and they're seeing that, and they'll say, one of the bugs is rated 9.8 out of 10. The modem maker has released some patches, but those patches need to go to the company that included the modem in their product, because highly unlikely you actually bought the modem from the modem maker. So it's just the sort of the state of the universe in terms of IoT. What it means is that you're responsible for fixing that yourself. Not great. And if you need help with that, please contact us. In the FTX crypto saga, one executive, Ryan Salam, who was the CEO of the Bahamian part of FTX, was sentenced to 7.5 years. That's interesting. He'd asked for no more than 18 months. Prosecutors asked for, I think, 5 years. He got 7.5 years plus $6 million in forfeiture, $5 million in restitution, and 3 years of supervised release after all this. His life is kind of toast at this point. Next, the feds actually arrested, this is not just put out a warrant, two Chinese nationals in a pig butchering scam. That's where they kind of convince people that they're special and that they can get rich quick, and all they need to do is keep plowing money into this scam. And when they try to get it out, they can't get it out. They netted about $73 million. And since they're both Chinese nationals, they caught both of them at different airports. I'm speculating, I'm hoping that they don't give these guys bail, because if they did give them bail, they're gone. The UK continues in their quest to eliminate privacy. Sort of an odd thing, but that's what they're doing. So the UK passed this law called the Investigatory Powers Act back in 2016. Other people who are less enthralled with it call it the Snoopers Charter. They decided that times have changed, and the powers that they gave themselves in 2016 were not invasive enough. So they gave themselves some more powers, and they call that the Investigatory Powers Bill 2024. They claim, which I would disagree with, that the citizens will be better protected. And I think they're saying that because, well, we're going to catch crooks so we can snoop on you. And the privacy will be better protected. I think I'm skeptical of that. But anyway, it does include a couple of features. One of those features, for example, is if a vendor like Twitter decides to implement encryption, they got to tell the government in advance, so the government can. It doesn't look like there's any, at least right now, we don't know what the implementing regulations are going to look like yet. But it doesn't look like there's anything in the law which allows the government to say, no, you can't do that. But you have to give them advance notice if you're going to do anything that improves security or privacy. And it also requires vendors to put backdoors in their software if the government asks them to. Pretty please. I don't expect anything to anybody to leave the UK, but maybe some companies might. Certainly smaller companies might be willing to go do that. All this is happening in secret, right? They're not really telling you what's going on in terms of, now the law is public, but their use of it is not public, and because they don't want another revolution. They didn't like how that last revolution in 1776 turned out for them. So they're really making this pretty quiet. Next, under the education section, there's an attack called Pumpkin Eclipse. And what it did was interesting. This is the bad guys. They weren't trying to necessarily steal stuff, but they certainly did cause a mess. They picked a particular modem, internet modem that Lumen, who's a former CenturyLink, former Quest, former US West, uses. And it's a crappy modem, but a lot of ISPs do that kind of thing. And they figured out a way to basically turn it into a pile of rubble, or just a doorstop. The only fix was for you to send the modem back to Lumen, and they would send you a new one. In the meantime, of course, you're down. Now, good news is, they did this, and I would speculate this is a test for the bad guys. They did this to 600,000 home routers, home modems, all belong to Lumen customers. And I would suspect that, that created a serious backlog in Lumen's tech support department to deal with. I'm sure there were people who were down for probably for weeks, I would guess. And if you're to do this in a wider scale with more variety of modems, then you could cause a lot of chaos. In the breaches department, the healthcare sector is just getting hammered. Cencora lost the data on more than 500,000 patients. They're sending out the first batch of letters. These guys also, like Change Health, handle a large portion of, in their case, it's pharmaceuticals, and they have these deals with the manufacturers. They're not disclosing any of the details. Obviously, they will when the lawsuits start. But they say that this is not related to either the Change Health breach or the Ascension Hospitals breach. So that's 3 large breaches. And this affects a large chunk of the U.S. population. So we'll see. Next, the cell carrier Patriot Mobile, which labels themselves as the only Christian conservative wireless provider, but they have less than 100,000 subscribers. So that sort of tells you something about what people think about them. But anyway, they were hacked, and the data stolen included name, address, email, zip codes, and account pins. That's probably the only piece of data there that is particularly sensitive. TechCrunch was able to verify this, that the data was legitimate because of another bug in their website, which allowed them to go enumerate the customers that the company had. Patriot, whatever, they're just sticking their head in the sand and pretending this is not happening, so they're not saying anything about it. We reported a couple of weeks ago that Santander Bank, the big Spanish bank, mega bank, was hacked. The hackers, since Santander did not pay the bill, Santander admits that this breach happened, and the bad guys are selling the data. And for a mere $2 million, you two can get 6 million account numbers with their balances and 28 million credit cards. So I'm sure the bank is not terribly happy about that. In the cryptocurrency arena, another day, another 300 million stolen. This is from the DMM Bitcoin crypto exchange. So, we're giving money to North Korea, Russia, China, whoever we're giving it to. DMM, the exchange, says they're going to reimburse customers for these stolen coins. Okay, I guess they have an extra 300 million. This is coming out of the investor's pocket. So at some point, the investors are going to say, this is not really a very good investment. So we shall see. They said that they are now taking further steps to go improve their security. Apparently never occurred to them to take further steps before they were hacked. Next, are CISOs optimistic or confused? The results of survey are a bit surprising. 70% of the CISOs, this is a large number, feel at risk of a material cyber attack over the next year. That's a big number. On the other hand, just a little bit over half think they're prepared, which means that just a little bit under half don't think they're prepared. So I don't know, you're a glass half full or glass half empty person, but a half of you think you're prepared and half of you don't think you're prepared. Next, the window to report breaches continues to go down. One point in time, it was, well, whatever, don't even report them. Yeah, a lot of companies still believe that that's the law. We're seeing some of these things where it takes them a year to notify people of their breaches. But it used to be the laws were 90 days, 60 days, 30 days. Now, some companies have to notify the SEC in 4 days. DOD, some contractors have to notify the DOD in 72 hours. But here's the icing on the cake. For those companies that are FHA approved mortgage lenders, and they are one of the largest mortgage insurers in the world, say that lenders have exactly 12 hours to report it, and they would they'll settle for a fairly mild amount of information, but they would like to know what was stolen, how it was stolen, who was stolen about. They would like all that in just 12 hours. Good luck on getting that. Next, the Senate is hopefully going to vote on a bill. It's the funding bill for the intelligence community for next year. So that's going to be in the fall. They just were in a big fat hurry to reauthorize Sections 702 of the FISA Act, which allows bulk data surveillance. And in it, they added a provision that really significantly increases the number of companies that they can go off and ask to secretly spy on their customers, down to the neighborhood coffee shop. Now, they claim that that's not their intention. We shall see. And they also claim that they're going to go fix that in the authorization bill. We shall see what they do. I think there's some senators who are not terribly happy about all this, so they're going to make a big stink if that doesn't happen. But for the most part, that bill is secret, so we don't really know what's in it. And finally, the security news for the week ending May 31st. The Feds say that Change Health can file breach notices for their customers. Remember, there's like thousands of doctors and pharmacies and stuff. And it really is not going to be very good if a patient gets 12 notices from 12 different providers. So I think the Feds, after probably getting beat up a fair amount, decided that really was the best thing for the consumer. NIST runs this thing called the National Vulnerability Database, NVD. It's been seriously backlogged for the last 6 months now. They've hired a contractor to go help them, and they claim that it will be current by the end of their fiscal year, which is the end of September. The Feds tell you and me that we should go off and improve our security. And I think, in fairness, they are improving theirs, but theirs also sucks. And we have some statistics of how badly it sucks. So that's an interesting number. Suffice it to say, they're far from perfect. Next, Google is warning people, and this is important if you do Google ads, with more and more states passing laws that require you to honor people's intent to opt out of targeted advertising. Google is basically saying they're going to do that for you, but that means your ads are not going to be targeted in those states for people who opt out, which is a large percentage of people. And there's, on the other hand, maybe you wind up with paying less money because you're getting fewer ads or fewer targeted ads. On the other hand, you're getting fewer ads or fewer targeted ads, so that's not great. The bigger problem is going to be for those companies, and we know of a bunch of them, that are saying, that's your problem, you deal with it. And if you do get ads, run ads, or even if you're just doing marketing to people, that's running ads, right? It doesn't necessarily mean you're running somebody else's ad. In these states where they have targeted advertising laws, then you need to comply with that. If you need help with that, then, please contact us. We can help you with that. But, for example, Colorado's law goes into effect in less than a month. So, you don't have a lot of time to deal with that. So thanks for listening. If you have questions about any of this, please let us know. Obviously, if you need any assistance with any of this, please let us know. And until next time, stay safe.
Thank you for watching. For more information or to purchase this or any other of our board or executive services, visit us at cybersecurity.com. Call us at 303-887-5864 or email us at rh@cybersecurity.com. Goodbye.